Oh, hey, boss.
Hey.
What do you got there?
Couple holsters.
Yeah?
Hey, you know what? We should do an episode on holsters.
Let's do an episode on holsters.
Okay. Everyone, welcome back to the Match Grade Podcast. Today, for this episode, I've got our maestro behind the microphone, our operator behind, I don't know, something. I didn't come up with a word for that one. Guys, Ed's here.
Hey, guys. And tonight we're talking all about holsters.
Holsters and things and stuff. Holy cow. Because there's only a couple options for holsters out there, right?
Yeah. No instructor or, concealed carrier has a desk or box full of holsters that they no longer use. That's not heard of.
I explain that box of holsters as, in a serious way, my evolution.
Okay.
Where this is a holster I started with, and then I learned a lot about it, and I learned a lot about my needs as a concealed carrier, so I found a holster that fit it better.
Okay.
And then as I learned and it grew more, I evolved into another holster, or maybe a different way of carrying, or a different position.
I see it as my evolution as you started with one type of gun, then you go to a different brand of gun that has to have their specific brand of holster.
Yeah, they're not universal fit.
And then all of a sudden you switch to a different brand that's not compatible, and you don't want to get one of those universal one-size-fit-all ones, and we'll talk about that. But
yeah, there's that evolution too.
So what are we starting with?
Well, I figured we start with something easy and stay with outside the waistband, because typically that's where your concealed carry journey might start. Okay.
I agree.
So the advantages to an outside the waistband holster are it's easy for the instructor to see what you're doing because the gun's not hidden, so the holster's out there. It's comfortable to start with, but you can still get all the mechanics of the draw stroke and learn the skills to be good and safe with it without, I guess, the extra concern of what we're going to talk about next is the inside waistband holsters, where you're hiding the gun more, and there's a lot more to think about.
I would go one step further and say for the new concealed carry person, there's kind of an evolution of training for concealed carry.
Yeah.
You might not even be accustomed to the weight of having a firearm or the responsibility of having that on your hip. So in the beginning, you might start with an outside the waistband holster and start with just carrying a empty gun at home, just around, to get comfortable with that until you start carrying at home, with a round in the chamber. You start carrying inside the waistband. You start carrying out, in public, and your evolution might go in that direction.
Right. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of different reasons why. So outside the waistband holsters can be a couple varied ways that they're mounted to you, right? Mounted to the body.
Okay.
One of them is a belt mount. So in this one here, we've got some belt loops.
Okay.
Right? So you thread the belt through, and then place it in between the belt loops on your pants, and it secures the holster. The good thing is, this thing, it stays put.
Oh, I can imagine.
There's a lot of friction behind here.
Yep.
So that, you thread the belt through and that pulls taut, it's pulling a little bit on the holster. So now it's kind of locking the holster in place.
Yep. You got your 2 points of contact, to secure it. I do see one kind of disadvantage, at least one disadvantage.
Yes.
How do you put that on without taking your belt off?
Yeah. It's less, well, I guess it's a little harder to remove.
Okay.
In a quick moment.
You want to stand there and talk metaphors? You want to literally take off your pants.
Right. Yep.
So depending on how you thread your belt, where you wear it, it could be, it might take you 30 seconds to a minute to get it on and off, but you still have to undo your belt to do it. So there's a consideration there.
It is a great option for training, though, because once you put that on at the beginning of the training day, you're set. You don't need to mess with anything, until you're done.
A little more easier to remove and put on is a paddle holster type setup. Okay. Where this paddle is flexible enough, and there's little teeth down here. where the belt clips under it, or the material pants gets in there,
grabs it,
and it grabs it. And this one has a little bit of a hump around it too, because in the mold.
Okay.
Again, this is Kydex, and but this one you don't have to take your belt off to put on and off.
Mm-hmm.
The drawback is it may not be as stable and secure. It might move around a little bit. Right. So, and it might dislodge. You hit this and you move the wrong way, and this opens up. It might pop up a little bit. So you're constantly checking this every so often.
It looks like it has a lot larger of a space.
It does have a little bit more of a gap.
So it's got more room for movement, but
it'll move up and down a little bit.
You'll be able to quickly put that on and quickly put it off. Matter of seconds, versus the belt loop one that may take you a minute.
And although, this first one here, it's fairly adjustable. You can just undo the 2 screws and move the loop up and down the holster. This one is kind of a pivot. You loosen up the screws and you just turn this one down into that little recess, or you turn this one down so you can change the angle of it.
Oh, so
that's a whole another science.
If you want to carry a little canted forward or a little canted back,
depending on where you place this. This one actually, if I turn it this way, it's gonna change the angle of the holster this way, right? So it's good for like hip carry around just behind the hip. Or if I turn it the other way, it's canted this way if I want to go front of the hip carry.
Absolutely.
So again, that's a whole angle, science, geometry thing. One other way is like if you're getting into law enforcement or you're doing armed security or other things that require an external carry, okay, where you're open, is a duty level holster.
Wow.
Okay. There's a lot of holster here.
I was going to say, that is bigger than a lot of concealed carry guns.
Yeah. To concealed carry this sucker, you're going to need an overcoat.
Luckily, in the great state of upstate New York, we're buried in that kind of weather 6 months of the year.
Yeah. So we've got a gun. We've checked it. Ed, we're good. Anything in there? Okay. So this thing actually goes in and locks in, and it's a retention holster. It cannot come out. It cannot come out. You have to really pull on this thing to get it off. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But being that this is one of the ALS from Safariland, all you got to do is come in with a natural draw stroke. Your thumb comes in the middle, and you just pull the gun out.
And I was going to say, that is a full-size Glock 17?
This is my full-size Glock 17.
With the light.
Something I normally don't carry unless I have to use a duty holster, because most duty holsters nowadays are set up for light-bearing guns.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get one without it now. So I will run if I'm doing any kind of tactical training or building search training. I'm going to want a weapon mounted light for augmented lighting. Mm-hmm. But in reality, I bought this holster because I was doing some specific training with a specific group that required these type holsters. So I had to be very familiar with it. Mm-hmm. My previous duty holsters did not have all the extra ones. I had a level 2 holster, which basically just required me pushing a little bail forward and pulling the gun out.
Okay.
This one's locked in. It is secure. It is not coming out of there.
Now, how do you attach that to your person?
Well, you need a bigger belt. We're going to need a bigger belt. This one is set up for more duty rigs or battle belt type setup. Okay. Battle belt things where the holster goes onto the belt.
Oh, okay.
And now it's attached to everything, and you've got everything all set up. This one also can be adjusted for angle, but it's pretty set. There's only a couple differences you can do.
Right.
If I want to go further, I'm going to have to drill extra holes in the injection molded plastic base plate to do it, or I get another base plate to put onto that, which gives me infinite adjustments in almost 45 to 70 degrees.
Right.
Is it practical for concealed carry? No. But I just brought this as another example of an outside the waistband. This is a serious outside the waistband holster that you might see, or law enforcement personnel carrying.
I like the little dust cover, weatheproof cover that you have.
Keep all the crud off the optic, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it works. These are beautiful holsters, but for concealed carry, it's going to be pretty tough. Going to be pretty tough, right? So those are just examples of 3 outside the waistband different mounting types.
So great for learning holster work in the beginning. Not so great because they are much easier to print on your clothing.
Yep.
Because they are outside the waistband, and nothing's going to be as easier to conceal as inside the waistband.
I know a lot of people that carry them because they're just fully comfortable because of the other versions we're going to talk about can be a little bit more uncomfortable but doable. But great starter holsters, and if you wish to stay outside the waistband, there's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely.
It works. I've got a bunch that I'll carry in the winter because of that, just because I can layer up easier. So, yeah. So that's an outside the waistband holster, kind of a quick walkthrough. Okay, so next up would be moving the gun closer to the body. Okay,
IWB.
inside the waistband. Inside the waistband. We had outside the waistband, which is carried outside your clothing, right? Outside the belt. Now we're going to go inside the belt or inside your clothing, closer to the skin. There's a lot of great options out there because inside the waistband evolved very quickly into a lot of varieties. And I found a couple of them. One of my first exposures to inside the waistband was Rusty Sherrick. I found him when I was training in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
He made a wonderful horsehide inside the waistband holster. I put it on and immediately fell in love with it. And then I got introduced to the Kydex method from LAG Tactical by a student of mine. And this was probably 10 years ago. I don't know when I think almost when they first came out. And I went, oh my God, this is more comfortable than the Rusty Sherrick was. And it was amazing because it was thinner because it was Kydex instead of leather. So there's some drawbacks there. It's like when you go inside the waistband, you need a lot more comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
So one of the ones that I found is a friend of mine who I've trained with in the past. He and I are aware of each other. We've talked a lot. Is a gentleman named Jeff Mao who started a company along with a couple other guys called Tenicor, and they've quickly become very good holster makers and very popular holsters.
I was going to say, that's a pretty big name in the industry.
Oh yeah. And I was I consider I knew him when he was an instructor, and he was also in law enforcement. And I suspect he did what most law enforcement coppers were doing, is they were modifying deep carry holsters and other holsters for concealed carry before the job. So he just became a whiz at this stuff. So I reached out to him a few years ago because I was experimenting with a different mode of carry, and he sent me a box of samples. One of them was this Certum. It's a Certum 3 from Tenicor, and it's kind of interesting. One is, it is an inside the waistband holster. It's got dual, very, very robust metal clips. These things go on, you're going to fight to get them off, which is, you want your holster to stay put, right? It's got a couple other interesting things though. It's got an additional, like a wing, but they call it a block, right? And when you're inside the waistband, one of the tricks that I learned, here's a pro tip for you, is when you carry outside the waistband, you want a pretty rigid belt, but not where it feels like it's a metal band around you.
Right.
But when you go inside the waistband, you want a little more flexible belt. With a flexible belt, it'll pull on this block, and it actually helps pull the gun in to the body a little more, making it more concealable.
Okay.
And that's the hard part with inside the waistband holsters, is you're trying to blend the gun. You're trying to blend basically a flat gun with a round human shape.
Yep.
Doesn't work too well sometimes.
Especially because different people have different body types, and that's going to lead to challenges, for some people to carry inside the waistband. And it's going to take a little while for you to find that location, that's most comfortable for you. For the appendix carriers, I think inside the waistband is the only option that most people.
I don't see any. I haven't seen any outside the waistband appendix area carriers. We'll cover those in a bit because I've got a story of my journey into appendix carry that I can tell you how I figured everything out.
So if you decide to carry appendix, or you want to try carrying appendix, this is probably going to be the holster for you.
Yeah.
Inside the waistband.
Maybe. Yep. This holster can go anywhere from hip carry, and you could actually make this an appendix carry holster. It's not that hard to do. This has got 2 screws on each clip, which you can adjust up and down. And there's also 4 screw holes in here where you could adjust it even further. So you could run this thing so you've got a hip carry behind the hip carry, or you can run it where it's kind of appendix or a little further if you want, because you can adjust this belt clip down and keep this belt clip up, and that'll settle this holster at an angle. But the inside the waistband models, they're going to take a little getting used to.
Yep.
Right? Another one, a more simplistic one for inside the waistband, is this one from Blade Tech. This thing has got two really heavy duty snaps. Okay, they really will hold on. It takes a little bit of effort to get them to snap on.
I was going to say, those are not your typical backpack, snaps that will come off in a stiff breeze, type of deal.
No. It's got belt loops, but this thing is made for my little Glock 43. Okay, well, the 43X. So it's made for a little bit smaller gun. It's lower profile. Right? It's definitely smaller than the other one.
Yep.
Look at the advantage of the outside the waistband of this guy, right? So this is very good for low profile. The good thing is every holster I have maintains the absolute minimum safety standard of covering the trigger guard, especially for inside the waistband.
Absolutely.
Right?
100%.
So and this one's got a little bit of a set screw in it, so you can tighten it up and everything. I was surprised to see it on a holster this small. But the good thing is, once you start being able to manage these snaps, it comes off, goes back on fairly easily. Just put this inside the waistband. These belt loops go underneath your belt, around the front of your belt. Snap on, you're good to go.
That does look like a very simple to put on, simple to take off, in a quick hurry if you have to.
There we go.
Type of holster setup.
Yeah, I got it. So those are a couple of my inside the waistband ones.
Okay.
What versions did you? I see you got a couple over here, Ed. So tell me about those.
So this is a inside the waistband paddle holster. So two interesting points of retention. So on the back, you have a nice kind of smooth, concave, type of paddle. So this will be the part that's resting against your body, and it's fairly comfortable. But we don't want that to be the paddle to be the only point of retention. So on the front, you do have a blade that's going to be on your belt as well. So this part goes inside the waistband. This is the only section, the blade, that goes on the outside of the waistband. This is designed for the 43X.
Okay.
And similar to your Tenicors, it has an adjustable set screw, so you can cant this forwards, backwards, straight up if you need to. Tension screws on the bottom, which is going to be kind of a theme. It's kind of important. Yeah, with those, kind of better holsters. If you don't have
so if
adjustable,
you look at it. There's one here. There's one here. They're all going to have them if they're good holsters. They're well made. They're going to have that.
And I enjoy it because this doesn't print that much. It seems bulky. Like this would looks like the size of an outside the waistband, but because of its concealability and with the injection molded plastic and the blade on the outside, this is super secure once you put it on your belt. This guy isn't going anywhere, which again, for concealed carry, your number one line of defense is going to be concealment, but number two is going to be the ability to retain and retention of your firearm. If you ever get into a knockdown, drag out fight, like you don't want that holster or that firearm to be going anywhere.
Yeah.
So again, inside the waistband, both blade and paddle combination.
It's a nice way to put a combo together on that.
And then the other one that I had, this is a Galco. So Galco is
Another
kind of
big name,
known for their leather style holsters. Now, pure leather holsters have their advantages and disadvantages. The big one being that they are very comfortable. This is a nice, pristine, it's faux leather, but, close enough. That's going to fit, and it's very nice against the skin. If you're not wearing any layers underneath you.
Okay.
But it does have the injection molded plastic screwed onto the leather with retaining bits on the back. So you will be able to retain a firearm. Clear.
Looks good.
And clear. There we go.
Much better.
So we'll be able to retain our firearm quite well.
Just in case.
but it's very comfortable as well. Okay. Retention is maintained on this style holster, similar to your inside the waistband with 2 belt loops, but different from Dave's are these no snaps. They're just wings,
Yep.
like so. However, because they're so wide apart, they're fairly comfortable when you put them on your waist, and they have a large amount of coverage. And I gotta say, I carried this one for a long time when my Glock 19 was my standard carry ages ago. And I still come back to this every so often because during the summertime, when I'm sweating a lot, this is very comfortable to wear. So again, combination leather and Kydex injection molded plastic in one holster.
Very nice. Well, gang, those are some inside the waistband ideas. A couple different locations. And then, so again, your mileage may vary. Your needs are going to vary. It all depends on what your comfort level is and what you're willing to accept to be able to carry a gun out in the great world out there.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so let's move into one carry method that has grown in popularity in the last few years, probably the last 6 to 7 to maybe 10 years. But historical note, this carry method has been around for probably 70, 80 to 100 years.
Okay.
It's been around a long time.
What are we talking about?
Appendix inside the waistband carry.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Some people would label it as front of the hip, but I label the front of the hip as just in front of the hip bone on the side of the abdomen. Okay?
I label it as pointing it right at your junk carry.
Yeah. Don't shoot your thing off.
Shit! I shot him in the dick! You shot me in the dick!
Which is probably why it wasn't widely, accepted
Yeah, you'd
for
be
a
surprised.
very long time.
Yeah.
But it's recently kind of got a resurgence in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I do see the benefits of it.
Oh, they're huge. They're huge. I initially didn't like it. Right. I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. Like here I am trying to work on keeping the front of me more flatter than rounder. Okay. Trying to, stay in shape and everything. And then all of a sudden I'm going to stick something out there to make myself bigger again. Right. Well, I also found out that the more of the round part of me I got rid of, the easier the flat thing is to put on the front of me.
Absolutely.
So it's the struggle all the time. It goes back and forth and back and forth. That's why I wear a core belt. I can expand it and contract it when it's needed. So appendix carry, from my perspective, came back into the forefront of our industry when they pushed out the Air Marshals program.
Oh, okay.
So they started moving guns to the front of them because it's easier to sit in an airplane seat like that.
I didn't know that.
But I can guarantee you people have been doing this on and off forever. Right? It's just, it was popular, then it wasn't. It was popular, and it wasn't. Then recently, probably about 4, 5, 6 years ago, I decided, you know what, let me delve into this because more people are doing it. I have to be fluent in the idea of appendix carry because it's going to show up in classes. Okay. And sure enough, it was. So I started looking at what different options are. Hence, I reached out to, Jeff at Tenicor.
Appendix carry has been around for a long, long time. It has certainly become much more popular over the last 5 to 10 years or so. And so appendix carry works well because you are able to conceal really well. If you just take a gun and you stick it in your waistband and there's no purposeful design to that, it actually doesn't conceal that well because the grip is going to stick out. And so where appendix carry really shines is when you get a holster that rotates the grip in and then rotates the top of the gun into the body. And when you have a holster that does that, whether it's some sort of claw or camming bar or some sort of wedge or body contour that is helping to do that, it makes for a very concealable gun that probably allows you to carry with a broader range of clothing as long as it's untucked, so you can wear tighter, more fitted clothing. Appendix carry is very consistent, and so consistent location of carry, consistent grip, consistent draw, consistent speed. So from a performance standpoint, it works really quite well.
One of their patented holsters for appendix inside the waistband, which have a little bump on the back.
I was going to say, that looks like you're inside the waistband minus the little bump.
Here's one more other of my holsters is has a nice foam wedge. That's kind of the drawback is he says it's very comfortable. I found it to be okay.
Okay.
And I didn't notice it after a while, but I'll tell you, to me, the foam wedge on the other holster seems a little more comfortable.
So a lot of people are gonna ask, so what is the point of the foam wedge? Where does that go?
Well, when you put this on, because we're kind of round in different shapes, right, different ways, what happens is this holster tends to lean forward.
Oh, okay.
So it's bringing the muzzle more in towards you at the bottom, and the top of the gun's leaning out, which means it's harder to conceal. Okay, so let's say you've got an abdomen here, and you've got the holster leaning out, so now the whole gun's sticking out. So what this bump does is it provides a filler space, but also they call it a wedge, because what it does is it forces the holster to come back against you.
Gotcha.
So instead of this one doing this holster can stay up and down where it forces it back. So it pushes the top of the gun in towards you and flattens it a little bit.
So you don't have the
Yes.
butt of
Don't
the
have the
gun sticking
pronouncement
out.
sticking out. Yep, the butt of the gun coming out. And then I'll show you on a different holster, but this has a small built-in block, which also pulls this way on the belt as the belt comes around. So this holster is doing this and then doing this, which helps the grip itself, the bottom of the grip, blend in with you better. So it's kind of basically what they call filling in the gaps. You know, like if I had this holster and I put it on there and I was doing this, and I don't want it to do that, and I push it back to where I want it to go, I've created a space down here. So let's fill it in with something.
So my journey with appendix, similar but different. I think of it just from a biomechanical standpoint, you know, in that if you're drawing from appendix, I no longer have to twist or turn and add extra motion.
Or telegraph with the elbow.
Right, exactly. Everything's kind of up front, and a lot of the time, if I'm wearing a hoodie and I'm comfortable, I just have my hands in my pockets here, you know, and it gives that extra security. Okay, nothing shifted. It's still there. I can feel everything. Whereas every so often, you know, when I
That
used to
thing
carry
moves.
3 o'clock, I'm like, it's still there, right? You know, and
Yeah.
I think definitely it prints more, even with inside the waistband, you know, on a side.
There's
Because
less curve to blend with.
there's less curve. There's less of me, you know, sticking outwards, you know, as opposed to forwards.
Yep.
But,
All right. So where I evolved into was one of two holsters. There's a holster made by Tier 1 Concealment, and there's one by T-Rex Arms.
both
I
great
like
companies.
Oh my God, they're awesome. Two other companies that if I could get a dealer arrangement, I would have these things. Now I can guarantee you though, once you've stepped up to this level, you're going to be spending a little bit of money. These are over $100, probably 125, 130.
Now, this is not for carrying 2 guns, right?
No, not usually, but you can buy it that way. This is what commonly we would call the sidecar.
Okay.
This is for a spare magazine.
Oh,
The cool thing is,
right.
you've already got a big bump here. Why not stick a little bit in here? Because there is a void that's created by the clothing and the belt.
Right.
Might as well use the space for something good. So you get a second magazine. And to be honest, when I do it, it balances the weight of the gun better.
Okay.
It's a lot more comfortable. And it's still as concealable as if this wasn't here.
I was going to say, the little hinge is nice because if you have a little bit more or a little less natural
Girth.
body armor,
Yeah.
so to speak, you know, it's
Padding for your
adjustable.
abdomen,
Exactly.
your abs. Yep. Now this holster, and it's funny how they probably, I envision they came up with the T-Rex arms because, you're drawing from here. You're like, I got T-Rex arms, right? But it's kind of cool. You get a little T-Rex on the thing, and they give you stickers and everything you put on your holster. But I tell you, I have had nothing but good things to say about this setup.
Now, this is really getting into once you've got your holster, you're comfortable with your carry style. Now it's time to start kind of customizing it
Small
and
tweaks.
making it, more fit for your body type and your style.
Yep. Now this also has a pretty pronounced wing. Okay, and again, the belt's going to come through. The belt or the pant material is going to go through this, but this is going to push on some of the material and pull this in, thus doing the concealment easier. Right. So in reality, this holster is going to do this. So it's going to lean inward. And then if you're kind of round, this wing is going to help pull the holster in to fit you. So you get this blending here and you get a blend here. And to be honest, if you think about it, the belt line is right here. All this down here is
Yep.
all hidden by clothing.
So really, you're only seeing the top inch, maybe 2
Maybe
inches
this.
or so.
Yeah. What was your smaller gun? Let me see it.
43X.
Yep, that should fit here. Okay. So in reality, you're only worried about this much of the gun. Okay. And when you do the bump to kick the gun in and the wedge to kick it back, it gets a lot more concealable now and blends with you better. It's beautiful when it works.
Now, how easy is it to put that on or take it off?
Very simple.
Okay.
Very simple. In fact,
Oh, okay.
there's my gear right there. Okay, offside mag, Glock 19 with the optic under here.
Yep,
Okay?
you can't
All I
see
have to
a thing.
do is unhook that, and the holster comes out.
Simple.
Okay, put it back in. Click one side. Click the other. Cinch the belt up a little bit. Put the concealment back on, and it's gone.
It's almost like you've practiced that a couple of times.
I've had to do that a few times. Yes. So appendix inside the waistband, the advantages to this position, it is a lot more concealable, as you alluded to, outside the waistband. Even hip carry, whether it's in or out, this is still a little more concealable. The drawback is you have to wear a closed front garment all the time.
Yeah, no jackets, no
zippers, no button downs.
Yep.
The button downs are closed, the zippers are closed.
Yep.
So with the hip carry, you could do either or, and you're probably going to be okay. So that's one of the reasons after I went to appendix care, I started wearing hoodies again. Because I just got out of them, and now I'm like, well, I've got a whole bunch of them now. Let's wear them.
It's not because we enjoy being business comfortable
Yeah,
all
right?
the time. They make for great concealed garments.
Yeah, I don't think they're professional for an instructor, but that's just my thing. I know a lot of instructors use them, and that's cool. If that's your jam, go for it. So appendix inside the waistband is a good way to carry, but it takes a little more diagnostics and trial and error to get it to where it's comfortable. And the one thing I'll tell you is I've had somebody like, well, you can't sit in the car, you can't sit down.
Exhibit A.
I'm
He's
sitting
sitting
down. Okay. I've got a car that's got bucket seats, and it's a low sitting car. It's a Honda CRV. I can get in and out of that thing without any problems. And I know how to access my firearm and get it out and deliver it any direction I need to if needed. So I work the bugs out. It's not that hard to do. And I've driven, probably the longest drive I've done has been a 9.5 to 10 hour trip. And that holster did not come off. So it can work. You just got to work at it.
And just to kind of disabuse the myth a little bit, appendix is not any more or less dangerous than any other conceal carry style position.
With the right gun, with the right holster.
With the right training, I would say. And
Yeah.
for me, again, it was getting past that mental block of having a firearm pointed at my junk. But
Yeah.
having a holster that absolutely completely covers the trigger and the trigger guard, and making sure that your draw is nice and smooth, and that finger is not anywhere near the trigger, you're going to be fine.
Yep. I can guarantee you I wouldn't do this if I didn't trust my firearm. Guaranteed, absolutely. I have 100% trust in myself and my firearm to carry an appendix, so I'm okay with it.
So it looks like you got one last appendix, semi-appendix?
Semi-appendix, how about we just call this alternate carry, maybe a deep cover, maybe
Okay.
a universal type holster in a way. Not universal for every gun, but universal because it doesn't really depend on what clothing you have on.
I know a lot of people are going to like that.
Yeah. So if you're wearing, I don't know, sweatpants or in shorts that don't have belt loops or anything, you're wearing, scrubs or just, yoga pants or whatever. This, it's made by a company named Pistolware. Okay. And I bought this because being a runner, I wanted to be able to, because I run mostly trails, and sometimes I'm running areas near the road, and where people just get stupid and do stupid things. So I want to be able to make sure I can protect myself. And in some of the trails I run, we have coyotes around here. We have little critters that would like to try and eat me. And then we have people's dogs and things that might be aggressive towards somebody running really fast.
Nuts.
I want to at least have something with me that I can carry. And I've run I put a lot of miles under this with this on, and my Glock 43 or my 48X, my 365's ridden in here. So this can actually hold a 19 if I wanted to, but running with it might be, it might get a little annoying. So I went with a smaller weight gun that just didn't move around a lot.
Yep.
Okay. The cool thing is if you really think about where this goes, it doesn't go above the belly button on the upper abdomen. It goes actually below the belly button.
Okay.
On the lower abdomen. In fact, I usually take these corners and they go right down at the crease of where my leg meets my lower abdomen.
Got it. So right into each kind of pelvis area
Yeah.
and just resting there.
And then the strap goes right around the back at the top of the hip bones. And I'll tell you, running, this thing moves very little.
Okay.
Very little. I'm not, going full out sprinting. I'm not going crazy. But, running up and down a hill here and there, doing trails, twisting and turning. I don't even, after like the first half mile, I don't even notice this thing's on me anymore.
Okay.
Right.
So what's the retention device for the handgun?
There's a couple cool features in here that's really neat. One of them is this is a very strong rare earth magnet, right? So your average movement isn't going to make this thing pop around because you got to remember this thing's tight. It's tight against you. You got a shirt over it, so this gun's going to move. It's going to be limited in its movement, and this is going to keep it where it doesn't like fly out, right? So this thing comes off. You take the gun out, and then in here. It's got a couple stiffeners.
Oh, okay.
Right? And you can move these suckers around. They're very strong Velcro. But what happens is when you put the gun in there, the trigger guard rides up against one of the stiffeners so you can't poke it with anything. So it eliminates, well, we're going to say greatly reduces. There are no absolutes in this world. Greatly reduces the chance that something gets to pinch the trigger. Right? And then there's another stiffener just on the inside, and then there's a little bit extra material here. Okay, so it's kind of tough to get something that pinches the trigger. Plus, it would have to almost wear through to be able to move the trigger.
Right. Yep.
Right. Some people would say, well, I'm going to get a safety-enabled gun, with an active thumb safety to carry in here for an extra measure of comfort.
Sure.
Right? But like I said in the previous segment about AIWB, I can put a Glock in here. I can trust it.
Yep.
The Glock system works very well. All in all, it's it's a good holster. I think this was like, I don't know, $35-40.
You slap machine washable on there, you're going to have a whole crowd of people who want that.
Yeah, you probably could run this through the, I don't know. I think you could run neoprene through the laundry. Doesn't say anything about don't machine wash. So I'm sure there's some care instructions. So this is again what I would consider like a deep cover. Because, I can throw sweatpants on or some just regular, just whatever, gym shorts and put this sucker on and go to the gym and work out. And as long as I'm not doing any ab work, who cares?
It looks like it's a good, comfortable option.
It was surprisingly comfortable. I had my doubts because of the wide footprint it has. Because this thing, it's pretty good size.
I was going to say, even from a concealment perspective, I see that. I'm thinking fanny pack. I'm not thinking, any type of, holster.
And there have been times where I had a long enough shirt. I put this around the outside and kept it off my skin. And I just had a draped shirt over me and it was fine. It was almost like a fanny pack. Speaking of fanny packs, so speaking of alternate carry methods, I just talked about a deeper cover kind of hidden one, but I see something you've got on there that somebody would say the 80s called and they want their carry method back.
We are talking about the fanny pack, the tactical fanny pack.
Which nobody wears above their fanny anymore, or they put it somewhere else.
So interestingly enough, this strap, I actually like it because I can wear it as a, shoulder bag. Or,
As a purse.
If I had to, and such. But yes, your traditional fanny pack. You are going to see.
I own like 4 of
Yeah, I was going
ones.
to say, every dad, who has kids who have gone to amusement parks and things like that have a fanny pack of some sort. And now, in the concealed carry world, you're going to be kind of doing a double take, on those people whenever somebody's wearing a fanny pack somewhere. It's like, are they holding diapers or are they holding their, method of protecting themselves?
What's funny is I asked some people who were unfamiliar with concealed carry, and I showed them a couple different holsters.
Yep.
And one of them was a fanny pack. And it was a couple, I know, like 3 different variants of those. And I said, when you see somebody with this, what do you think? They're like, he's got a wallet in there. He's got a comb or something in there. He's got, I don't know, some other extra stuff in there like change or some money. And they said, and all of them agreed that's probably something that can be taken easy from you. Not one of them said a gun.
Exactly.
Only gun people know that there's probably a gun in there. Okay? And people that are aware of concealed carry but not might be gun people,
Absolutely.
they'll probably see that. So,
But you put a Mickey Mouse sticker on the front of this, it's going to be very, very unassuming.
all right. So, tell me about that fanny pack.
So with fanny packs, this is not your generic kind of, fanny pack. And there are certain rules and what we would say recommendations when it comes to carrying in a fanny pack. Number 1 is going to be the compartment that carries your firearm should have nothing but the firearm, and I highly, highly, highly recommend a holster.
Yes.
Okay? Because the fanny pack by itself, while it does have retaining straps to it, has no way of covering this trigger guard and trigger in the gun as I'm carrying it upside down.
That's effective.
So,
Yep.
so again, firearm and holster must be the only thing in that compartment, and I highly, highly recommend a holster that can clip in here with its own retaining kind of device.
Yeah.
That way, if you ever have to draw, the only thing you're doing, opening up the zipper, going in, there's nothing else to grab, no pens, no wallets, no spray, no knives, no diapers, and you're just pulling that gun out and you're ready to defend yourself. A couple of other things, recommendations. You got alternate pockets for spare magazines. You can have Kleenex wipes, anything else that might be unassuming.
Or maybe some like small trauma care items, like a fold up tourniquet or some chest seals.
Absolutely.
In case there's a major injury to deal with. Yeah.
Everything that you carry to defend yourself should either be making holes or plugging holes. Is kind of what they say in the industry.
Yeah.
So, again, fanny pack, shoulder pack, however you decide to carry. Again, very, very unassuming, and get one that has a decent belt and clips. Okay.
Yeah.
These do break if you get something cheaper. And make sure that I recommend the clip is very, very hard ejection molded plastic, and they do have some metal ones that are out there as well. But an alternate carry method, if a holster is not an option, or you're wearing drawstring pants or anything that doesn't have a great belt like a cord. So these wildly popular both with men, women, and just about anybody. This is kind of my, running and hiking go-to carry.
So Ed, I see you've added something to your attire this evening in this segment.
I
Tell
don't
us
know
about
what
it.
you're talking about.
Well, it's supposedly highly concealable, and it just happens it's black and you're wearing a black hoodie. So, all
So,
right.
again,
Don Johnson has arrived in his
it
Ferrari.
is a shoulder holster for very, very deep concealment. So again, we have an injection molded holster on one side, and we have extra mag pouches on the other side.
Okay.
Now, obvious disadvantage to shoulder holster is when it's holstered, This is pointed almost straight back if
Yeah.
I were to be standing. And again, following the rules of good handgun conduct and safety. When it's not shooting, it should always be pointed in a safe direction, and I really don't.
Or the best safe direction.
Best
Right.
available safe direction.
So if you think about when we're carrying around the belt, the gun's usually pointed down. Mm-hmm. Okay, or some variation of that. Which, okay, what's the nearest thing it could hit? Your feet or the ground. Mm-hmm. But with a horizontal type shoulder holster, what's the nearest thing it could hit? A whole lot of stuff that you probably don't.
And I'm sure there's some way to modify this that I just haven't gotten to in order to make sure it does point downward. Fortunately, in my kind of day business, I do wear a suit and a jacket almost 50% of the time.
Okay.
So as a result, I'm wearing a button-down shirt that's tucked into my pants. So
I'm wearing one right now. In my mind.
Oh, I was going to say. So in that instance, outside the waistband, appendix, inside the waistband really aren't going to be options for me because you're going to be able to see my pant line. So what was I going to be able to turn to? It was either going to be a shoulder holster or an ankle holster. And really, shoulder holster was the least worst option that I could think of. Again, it's for deep concealment. I am not going to be outdrawing anybody with this setup, especially if I'm going to be wearing a suit or a jacket on top of it. However, as Dave pointed out earlier, it is really easy to kind of conceal or cover, with the right appropriate garment.
Honestly, you could put that under your hoodie, and you would just have to work a little harder to get at it. You have to go down from the top or up, up from the bottom, and then pull the gun out. In my learning career, I wanted to experiment with every mode of conceal or carry. And I actually still have it somewhere, still in the box wrapped up somewhere, or might have gotten thrown away by now. But I had I bought the Miami Classic from Galco.
Okay.
Okay. It was for my 1911, my 70 series of 1911 that we've seen in previous videos. And I tried carrying it. And the one thing I found that I didn't like was the joiner at the middle sits right there.
Yep.
Right on, like the top of the thoracic, base of the cervical spine area. And that I found to be kind of annoying because it rubbed. And the one that I had from Galco was plastic. It was injection molded plastic.
Okay.
And it just seemed to rub all the time. It got to be irritating.
Would you say it rubbed you the wrong way?
Yeah. I know. I tried. He tried. But the other thing I found is I always felt like I was doing this. I was hunching my shoulders forward and back because of the steel frame 1911 that kept moving around to the front.
Yep.
And the two extra magazines, and there's a lot of weight pulling down that was pulling my shoulders down. So after a while, my shoulders were getting sore because of all that extra weight.
And I will say, with this type of setup, it is going to take you quite a while because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 adjustable straps.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little while to get this kind of fitted to your body, especially because of the retaining clips that are on the bottom that go along your belt line. When you see holsters in movies and TVs and you got the undercovers and things like that, and they don't have the bottom clips and it doesn't move anywhere, I guarantee you they are prop holsters and prop guns.
Unfortunately, the shithole has more fucking leaks than the Iraqi Navy.
Fuck yourself.
I'm tired from fucking your wife.
How's your mother?
Good, she's tired from fucking my father.
But again, this setup, it's out there. It may be for some people. Know that it's for deeper concealment. Again, you have to be very deliberate with your draw stroke so that you're not flagging everybody in a half circle
Or your arm.
or your arm.
I learned that when I go to draw, I just got to lift my elbow up. And I whip the gun over to my center, bring my hand down, drive it out to the target.
Exactly.
And that was the most efficient way I could make it. I've seen guys do other stuff where they lift their arm up, bring it down and up. But you have to work a whole different draw stroke from your normal one.
Absolutely. You will not be outdrawing anybody. But again, it's one of those situations where if there is no other option available, it's kind of the least worst option. I'd rather have this than a sharp stick.
Or nothing.
or nothing at all. So again, know that they're out there. Try it and get the appropriate training that is associated with a shoulder tap brake.
Cool. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Ed. Gang, here's some options. It isn't the definitive list of holsters. It's not where we said you should carry this way. I gave my preferences on how I carried and where I carry now, and that's me. That works for me. It works for my settings, my purposes.
Your body type,
Yeah.
what your comfortable level of training, for carrying is. Absolutely.
Right. Could I do differently? Probably. I probably will. Like I said, winter's coming. I might change it up a little bit. I'm a firm believer in consistency. So consistent plays, consistent gun, consistently training. But I've also got 25 or so, maybe 30 years of carrying behind the hip. So it won't take much for me to switch.
Absolutely.
I just have to remind myself, do a few dry reps just to make sure that the last few reps, my brain remembers that the gun was here instead of here. So I don't look like a fool when it goes down, and I don't waste time going, uh-oh, gun's not there. Shift, bring up program B.
Exactly.
Right. So if you have your favorite way to carry, please comment below. Let's hear about it. If you have questions about the different holsters or where to find them, we'll try to put some links below to all the companies we've talked about. And again, questions, commentary, everything's welcome. And what do we need everybody to do?
Like, comment, subscribe, and mash that notification button.
That's right. Gang, thanks for checking in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
To check out more content, be sure to look up here.
It's going to be up there.